Have you ever been caught between duty and the pull of your past? This is the story of Judge Marcus Reynolds, a man who once lived in a dangerous neighborhood ruled by gangs and who managed to break free to build a life dedicated to justice and fairness. But on one fateful day in the courtroom, fate would test not only his commitment to the law, but also the bonds of old friendship. The courtroom was a quiet but intense place, as always. The trial of Devin Carter got underway. Devin, a man in his early 30s with anxious eyes and tired features, sat at the defendant's table. His crime was not a monstrous one, just a case of petty theft that could land him up to 5 years in jail. Yet as the proceedings began, Judge Reynolds felt a jolt of recognition. Devin was the same friend he had known as a boy on the rough streets they once roamed together. A time when both had dreamed of escaping the suffocating grip of gangs and violence. "Court is now in session," Judge Reynolds announced, his deep, steady voice echoing off the wood-paneled walls. Case number 457, the State versus Devin Carter. Devin's attorney, Ms. Evelyn Carter, no relation to Devin but a woman known for her compassion and straightforward manner, stood and addressed the courtroom. "Your Honor, we are here today regarding charges of theft. Mr. Carter acknowledges his mistake, and we ask that you consider his difficult circumstances and his sincere remorse." The prosecution wasted no time in outlining the details. On a cold, desperate night, Devin had been caught taking items from a local convenience store, a mistake born out of dire financial need rather than malice. As the witness took the stand, recounting the events with clinical detail, the tension in the room thickened. The witness noted, almost regretfully, "He looked like a man who was driven by desperation, not criminal intent." Judge Reynolds leaned forward. "Counsel, if I may," he interjected gently, "I ask that we remember every person has a story. Sometimes a lapse in judgment doesn't define the entirety of who they are." For a brief moment, Devin's eyes met those of the judge. In that silent exchange, memories of sunlit afternoons playing on cracked sidewalks and shared dreams of a better future flickered between them. It was hard for the judge to see the man before him only as a defendant. He remembered the young Devin, a kind-hearted, hopeful friend who had struggled against the odds. When the prosecution rested its case, Ms. Carter rose once again for her closing remarks. "Your Honor, Mr. Carter stands before you a changed man. Yes, he made a mistake, but let his actions today be a stepping stone toward a future where he can rebuild his life. I ask for leniency, a chance for him to prove that the kind person he once was can emerge stronger." The courtroom fell silent as Judge Reynolds prepared to deliver his verdict. His mind wandered back to the rough neighborhoods of his youth, where gangs ruled and hope was scarce. He had escaped that world with a promise to himself, to bring fairness and mercy to those who, like him, had once been caught in life's harsh grip. "Mr. Carter," Judge Reynolds began, his voice both firm and compassionate, "I am fully aware of the law and the penalties that this offense carries. However, I also believe in redemption, in the possibility that every person can change if given the right chance." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Devin's eyes widened, and for a moment his face reflected a mixture of disbelief and tentative hope. "I recall a time, not so long ago, when I knew you as a young man with a heart full of promise, a friend who had dreams far greater than the circumstances of our upbringing. Today I see before me not just a defendant, but a man who still holds that potential," Judge Reynolds continued. "In light of this, I am sentencing you to probation with mandatory community service, rather than incarceration. I am also ordering your enrollment in a rehabilitation program that includes counseling and job training." A collective exhale swept through the room. Devin's voice, choked with emotion, finally broke the silence. "Your Honor, I don't know what to say. Thank you for this chance." Judge Reynolds offered a gentle smile. "Devin, this is not simply a legal sentence. It's an opportunity. I trust that you will use this chance to rebuild your life and prove to yourself and to all of us that you can overcome your past." After the formal proceedings, as the courtroom slowly emptied, Judge Reynolds stepped down from the bench and approached Devin, who was now gathering his few belongings. In a quieter hallway off the main courtroom, the judge spoke softly, almost as if confiding in an old friend. Devin, let's talk, he said. I know we come from the same hard places. I left that life behind to serve justice, but I never forgot where I came from. I know the struggle, and I know that sometimes a mistake is just a detour, not the end of your story. Devin's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I always admired you, Judge Reynolds. You made it out, and I wanted to too. I'm sorry for the wrong choices I've made. I want to make things right. I want to be the person I know I can be. The judge's expression softened further. This community service isn't just about paying a debt to society. It's about making amends to yourself. Use it to learn, to grow, and to give back. I believe in you, Devin. Their conversation, tender and laden with history, was interrupted by a courthouse clerk calling for the judge's attention. With a nod to Devin, Judge Reynolds said, "Remember, this isn't the end. It's a new beginning. I hope that you will look back on today as the moment you turned your life around. You can also turn your life around. How, you may ask? Well, you can subscribe and like this video. Then you will always have something to watch while eating. Jokes aside, we appreciate your support. Now let's see what happened next." Over the following weeks, Devin embraced his sentence as a genuine opportunity to change. He began his community service at a local youth center, where he helped underprivileged kids with homework and organized neighborhood cleanups. With each act of service, he slowly rebuilt not only his reputation, but also his self-worth. Former friends and neighbors started to see him in a new light, a man determined to change his destiny. One chilly afternoon, while Devin was setting up a community event, a young volunteer approached him. "Mr. Carter, I've heard about your story. I just want to say that I think it's amazing how you're turning things around." Devin smiled warmly. "Thank you. I used to think that a single mistake defined me, but now I see that every day is a new chance to do right by myself and my community." Back at the courthouse, Judge Reynolds continued his work with the same calm conviction. He often recalled that trial, not with regret, but as a reminder of why he had chosen the path of justice, tempered with mercy. In quiet moments, he would think of the dangerous streets of his youth and the friends he left behind, vowing silently that every person deserved a chance at redemption. A few months later, Devin returned to the courthouse, not as a defendant, but as a volunteer at a community outreach program organized by the local Justice Department. When their eyes met in the corridor, a silent understanding passed between them. Judge Reynolds clapped Devin on the shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Devin. Keep moving forward. You're building a new legacy, one defined by hope and determination rather than by past mistakes." Devin's reply was simple, heartfelt. "Thank you, Judge. I won't let you down." That day, the courthouse door closed behind them, but the story of that trial and the compassion it embodied continued to echo throughout the community. It served as a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest act of justice is not in punishment, but in offering a second chance, a chance to turn a troubled past into a hopeful future. What do you think? Have you ever experienced a moment when a single decision changed the course of your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below.